I came into Rolls-Royce, I did aerospace engineering, and I just cover a little bit about sort of where I came from, what I did. So I started off doing GCSEs, as most students do. When I was in year 9, I already knew that I wanted to go into engineering. So it was a pathway that sort of, for me, led from GCSEs. I knew what I wanted to choose. From that, I chose to do one of the subjects, which was design, technology, systems and control. In that, there was only 3 of us that were girls in the whole class. So that was my pre-introduction to what an engineering world would be like. But yeah, from that, I then went on to A-levels. So when I did A-levels, I did maths, physics and product design. And me there, that's with the table I made in my year 13 sort of project. But from when I was in A-levels, I sort of said, right, I know I don't want to go to university full-time, but I know I still want to get a degree. What's out there? And that's when sort of apprenticeships became more of a thing for me, and I started doing a bit more research and finding out actually that I can go and do a degree apprenticeship, get no student debt, and actually go to some of these organisations and companies that I could only sort of dream of working at, even if I'd gone to university. And one of the things actually that sort of helped me realise I want to just go straight into work was doing some part-time jobs. So working at Costa, sort of getting a feel for what it's like to just go straight in, earning a salary. So getting that bit of money on the side was definitely the perk for me. So where you guys all are now is that sort of, you've got the power now to choose where you want to go. And if you know you want to go and become an engineer or go down an engineering route, is make sure you choose the right GCSEs and A-levels that then support you in that future career. I get so many people come to me at careers shows and at careers fairs and approach me other things I do and say, oh, I really want to become an engineer. And I go, oh, great, like, what are you doing? And it's, oh, yeah, I'm studying dance and social. I'm like, oh, I'm really sorry, like, you can't come into a degree. But that doesn't stop you. So if you're here now and you've realised actually engineering is for me, and you've maybe not chosen quite the right GCSEs or A-levels for that, you can still enter through an apprenticeship. It just might not be at that degree level. You can start at a lower level, come in on a level 3, level 4, which is sort of post that GCSE level, and work up. You can still get a degree within a lot of these engineering companies through an apprenticeship. So I'm now in my second apprenticeship. So I came into Rolls-Royce on a degree apprenticeship, which meant I come out with a bachelor's in aerospace engineering. Did that for 4 years, went across the whole business doing lots of different sort of areas, all the way from sort of testing engines through to working on them, did a bit of hands-on stuff as a manufacturing engineer. And then I even got a taste for some stuff that wasn't engineering. So I went and did business, I did a bit of sales whilst I was there, did a little bit of business development. So that was working with future customers to get an idea of what they could want in the future from us. So sort of drones, those sort of very small engines that can go into things that don't have a pilot behind them, aren't military. So once I finished that sort of degree apprenticeship, I then went into a full-time role. So I became a deployed lifecycle engineer. For people that don't know, because it's quite a niche one, I'm basically the first point of call for when a product comes back from service, and if it has an issue that's unexpected, like a crack, I'm then the first point of call to work with specialists to find a solution to get that engine back out the door as quickly as we possibly can, and meet those customer demands with their turnaround times. And when I went into that full-time role, I thought, I don't know if I'm quite done with my education. I'm quite enjoying this whole friendship side of it, getting to learn on the side. And that's when I found out that I could go and do a master's apprenticeship. So even though I'd done one, I'm now in a full-time role. Rolls-Royce actually sponsored me to go and get a master's degree. I finished that last month. So all done now, thank goodness, because I've had enough now, definitely, of education. I'm not doing any more. So anyway, finished that and then went into my full-time role now as a Through Life technical lead. This is a secondment. I'm actually seconded into Babcock. Even though I'm still working for Rolls-Royce, I'm based there in their Bristol facility, working quite closely with BAE Systems and the Ministry of Defence to work on some submarine side of things. So I've moved away from aerospace, which I've been in for the last 6 years, trying something completely new. Luckily, it's only an 18 to 24 month secondment, so if I really don't like it, aerospace will have me back. So why did I choose to do an apprenticeship? So for me, there were so many advantages, but there's also disadvantages, and it's things to sort of be aware of. So for me, the main advantages was the no student debt, which I've already mentioned. But as well, it was that increased employability and the fact that you get to earn while you're learning. And the best part was the fact that I was getting 4 years industry experience, which if you go to university, you'll even struggle to get a summer internship. So I was over the moon to be able to actually just get straight on with it, hands-on with the product. But some of those disadvantages to be aware of, and some of the things that if you're thinking about going down an apprenticeship route, is the time commitment. It's not easy working and doing a degree on the side. You need to be organised. If you currently are struggling at school with your organisation, then you need to crack on if you want to go down the apprenticeship route, because it's tricky. I was doing an MVQ level 2, an MVQ level 4 and a bachelor's degree, all while still working 4 days a week and having to do a bit on the side. So if you're going down the apprenticeship, really, really think hard about whether you're sort of committed enough to be doing that. But what's interesting actually is everyone that goes down the apprenticeship route ends up doing better than full-time students. And I think that's the committed side, and the fact that you can actually see where your work at university is going, and you can see the impact of what you're learning. You can then apply on the work you're doing. But along the way, I've had challenges, I've had problems. I came in on my degree scheme. I was, again, the only girl. I've had this experience through engineering, but it's getting better, and the more placements and the more teams I join, the more women I'm seeing in the industry and the more sort of diversity I'm seeing, and it's so much nicer to see than when I first came back in 2018. Again, going into my master's, I then ended up being the first person from Rolls-Royce to go and do a master's apprenticeship, and I was the youngest person on my course by 10 years. So I was sat amongst sort of actually people in their 40s and 50s doing the masters with me that are already sort of engineering managers. So it just shows you the sort of speed you can pick things up when you're going down the apprenticeship route. But alongside that, I've chosen to take on additional roles. And something for me was I enjoy coming out here and sharing sort of my apprenticeship experience, and the fact that apprenticeships are a really positive way to get into the industry, and sometimes can actually be easier to get in, especially if you're coming in on that lower level, if you haven't got any engineering experience. So some of the things I've taken on is sort of joining the IET, working with IFE, who are under the Department for Education, so actually creating and improving apprenticeship standards for future people. And from that, I've been able to do a hell of a lot of things. And luckily, quite a lot of companies are supportive if you're an apprentice to go out there and engage more young people and try and get them into STEM. Here's just a tiny snippet of some of the things I've done over the last sort of 6 years at Rolls-Royce. And then I've also gone and done apprenticeship things as well. One of the sort of highlights for me was getting invited to the House of Lords last year, and actually getting to speak to them about apprenticeships and sort of influence them and what I think we should make changes. And hopefully we're going to be now seeing that in the new Labour government, because that was what they were sort of feeding into. So yeah, I've done a lot on my way, but for me, something sort of that highlights and something I want to point out is, if you want to go into engineering and you currently don't have a role model, or you currently can't see someone that's doing the role you want to do, don't let that put you off. Be the trailblazer, go and do it. If you can't see it, be it. Thank you.